It's time for Pot of the Dead. Join us!
Sluts. All right. Hello and welcome to Pot of the Dead, the internet horror film club that nobody asked for. I am your host, Nicholas, and as always, I am joined by the final girl, Natasha.
Hello! If you want more from us, check out our links in the description below. We also have a Patreon, thanks to our members who have already joined. As a member, you get voting power for a movie choice each month, like this one that we will be going over today, as well as a first look at our movie lineup for the next month. As always, don't forget to spread the love by rating and reviewing on Spotify or wherever you listen. Your support means a ton. On today's episode, we will be going over the original Paranormal Activity from 2007. It's considered an American supernatural horror film produced, written, directed, photographed, and edited by Oren Peli. It centers around a young couple, Katie and Micah, who are haunted by a supernatural presence inside their home. They've set up a camera to document what's haunting them. This film uses found footage conventions that were mirrored in the later films of this series. There's also a quote that I think is worth reading. It says, "Paranormal Activity is one of the scariest movies of all times. It will affect you as it's hard to ignore the imprint it leaves on your psyche. Nightmares are guaranteed."
Nope. Well, we will get into that. Something that I wanted to point out. Everywhere it says like this is from 2007. It wasn't released until 2009. That's when it hit like the circuit, like the festivals and stuff like that. So it was like made in 2007, but it did not come out, like you didn't see the ad campaigns and all that stuff until 2009. So no, it literally is everywhere like that. It's like 2007, but once you look up box office stuff and the actual release date, like in theaters, it was in 2009. We've had that before in the past where something gets made in a handful of years later it comes out. But so this was our Patreon voted on episode, but this was also a movie that you were very interested in watching, Natasha. So I'd never seen this before, and I can give you my reasons for not seeing it real quick. It just didn't look interesting. That's all it was. It was just like, oh, okay. It came out like a handful of years after the big like found footage boom, after Blair Witch came out in 99. So I'd seen a lot of found footage films building up to when this came out, and then this came out and I was like, I've seen enough. I don't need to see the next big, quote unquote, big budget. By that, it's obviously not big budget, but big production, how like Universal or Paramount or whoever, So I was just like, whatever. So this was my first time watching it. What's your history?
I actually didn't watch it when it came out either. I would have loved to have seen it in theaters. I watched it just a couple years ago. Drew showed it to me, and I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Right on. So, that being said that it was made in 2007, came out in 2009, it was made independently, and then it was picked up and then distributed and stuff like that. What do you think its production budget was?
$120,000.
You could not be more wrong. This movie was made for $15,000.
Whoa!
That is one of the big things that this movie is known for, is because of how little it was made for, which I can give credit to that. Like, that's impressive that it was made for that. Its post-production budget, after it was picked up by Paramount, they gave it an additional $200,000 to like do some extra things, like the ending got changed and some stuff like that. But initial investment was $15,000, so that's kind of what it. I also want to say that the $200,000 includes like the little ad campaign they did, which was one of the first I'd ever seen that was like this, where it showed crowd reaction to the film. It didn't show much of the film, but we'll get into what they did show in it and that against the movie, because I do remember that. So having never seen the film, and then I still remembered the ad, like the trailer. So then you see the movie and it's just like, oh, I feel like I've already seen the movie. It's one of those things. They literally showed you every peak in the film. And then I was just like, oh, well, that's how it. Oh, okay. Well, I guess I fucking saw the movie. But
that sucks.
So on its meager $15,000 budget, what do you think its box office was?
Millions. Let's say.
Okay, millions. We're up there.
$13 million.
Again, you could not be like, this is possibly the most wrong you've ever been on this podcast.
Hey, I at least stayed in the thousands for production budget. Let's just.
Yeah, but you said 13 million. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's what I said.
$194.2 million.
Holy crap!
So originally,
was that like one of the best movies of the year?
We'll get there.
Okay, well, my bad.
So,
wow.
Filmed for $15,000, it grossed 9.1 in its first week in the U.S., breaking the record of highest-grossing weekend ever for a movie playing at less than 200 theaters.
Wow.
The film earned nearly $108 million at the U.S. box office and a further $85 international for a worldwide total of $194. This is actually considered the highest, obviously, the highest gross off an investment for a film. For $15,000, they made nearly $200 million. Now, granted, like I said, they added 200,000 for whatever and all this stuff, but the actual film was only made for $15,000. Ways that they made it for so little was the cast, right? Micah and Katie were paid $500 a piece when this was shot, because it was a very independent thing. The house that it takes place in is our director's house. Like, it literally, like he spent a year renovating the house in ways that would be more intuitive to the film, such as like the bedroom and hallway outside the bedroom used to have carpet, but he had the carpet removed because of scenes that how he wanted it to do. There was no banister on the staircase, but he wanted it to look a certain way. The walls were all just like eggshell white, and he's like, no, that's going to reflect color more. I want it to. So he painted his house to dampen shit like that out. So in a way, he did a home renovation in the guise of a movie. So $15,000 home renovation, I guess that's not too bad, right?
Yeah.
All that being said,
did Micah and Katie get paid anything else?
Yes, they did. After it got picked up and everything, they did renegotiate, and they did end up getting paid more. But like initial was $500.
Yeah.
There's also no script for this film, and that's something that is probably one of my massive problems with it. They were just kind of given like bullet points of like, this is kind of how the character acts and stuff like that, which I understand if you're trying to get it to be found footage and more real to life and stuff like that. But Jesus Christ, Micah, played by Micah Sloat or whatever, they basically they didn't even give them character names. They're their actual names. It's Katie Featherston plays Katie, Micah Sloat plays Micah, and all that kind of shit, you know. But Micah's character, from the word go, I don't think I've ever hated a character more in a film ever. And it's and you can't even say that he was written that way, because he wasn't. Like, it's him. It's so fucking annoying. But
I like that. There's a quality to this movie not having a script that makes it seem like Katie's awkward in front of the camera.
It feels
Mika's
like
trying to be like macho and big. Like
it feels like $15,000.
Yeah,
like,
and it feels
not in a good
real.
way. Not in a good way. Like it feels like I'm sorry. Like I tried. I really tried to like. Gotta remember, Nick, this was 2009. You know, there wasn't a lot of fucking found footage films that were this popular. I was like, literally, like, you know, don't fucking judge a book on its cover, because I didn't. I literally was just like, you know, I've never seen this. I know it's extremely popular. I know that I tend to not like what is popular, not because it's popular, but because my taste is not Saw
Popular.
7. You know, like, yeah, like it just tends to be that way. So I knew that my taste was probably going to be skewed away from it, but I was like trying to be very open to it. Like, okay, all right, like maybe. And then the non-credits rolled, you know, like it ended and I was just like, oh, okay. At least it wasn't 2 hours long, I guess. I can give it that.
Yeah.
But the filming of the film was only done in 10 days. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know, like there's not a huge amount about the production of this film, because there's not much about production. So like a lot of the special effects and everything that were done were a lot of it was just done in camera. It was just like a home digital camera and everything. This movie definitely shows you the growing pains of the found footage thing, where it's like, we got to keep showing that we're using a camera. We got to be super pervy all the fucking time. Like it was just like really like on the nose and stuff about that. But one thing I did think was pretty fucking rad about this film, I'm giving it a whole point for this. A whole point for this. So you'll find that out later. But the death metal band that's on the TV, like at the very, very beginning, it's like the first shot of the film. It's a band from San Diego called Disgorge, and it's their song called Consume the Forsaken. That band fucking rips. Okay. So like I saw that and I was like, all right, that was the highlight of the movie for me.
Oh no, the highlight.
The highlight was him turning on the camera and there being disgorged on the TV, and I was like, oh, okay, all right. Oh, no more? Okay, all right. I guess I'll go listen to that later.
It went downhill from there so soon.
Yeah, but yeah, the job of visual effects was made considerably easier by having the majority of the camera work static, so the camera just kind of sat there, as is the case for like shifting shadows. There's like some powder stuff, all this, which were all created using masking tools. All of the more difficult shots were done with like, you know, like just kind of greening stuff out in a way, right?
Like Photoshop?
Kind of like greening, like when I'm saying masking tools, it's think of it like green screening, but like without green screen, because he didn't have that kind of money and everything.
Yeah.
Editing was spliced together to create the illusion that impossible achievement was done and completed in seconds. You know, like it was very like this movie. I can definitely see this being almost like a teaching thing of like, look what you can do with no money, right?
Yeah.
And I give it credit for that. But at the end of the day, I want to be entertained. And I was not entertained. So it is what it is.
Okay, well, there's that.
Yeah. So, but to give you, you asked about like how it fared when it came out, like against everything else. So for 2009, for horror films, we haven't covered a lot from this year. We have covered one film. It was the 12th rated film on this list, which was Jennifer's Body, which I believe you absolutely loved.
No, that wasn't me.
See, that was a very good comparison for me for this movie. Going into it, I just had like, I'm probably not going to like this, and it ended up being that I liked Jennifer's Body, so I was hopeful for this. But Saw, good Lord, Saw 6, The Uninvited,
Jeez.
The Last House on the Left, Halloween 2, Drag Me to Hell, which came out that year, was number 7, The Unborn, My Bloody Valentine remake, Haunting in Connecticut, the Friday the 13th remake, which I just watched for the first time ever, like a month ago, because I've seen like all the old ones and I just never watched the new one. It's fucking actually really good. Like, it's a fun slasher. So if you get a chance, check that out. Number 2 is The Final Destination, not the first one, but whatever number this one was, but it was The Final Destination. And then the number 1 horror film for the year was Paranormal Activity, bringing in over $50 million more than the second horror film on the list.
Wow. So
it did not, however, make the top 10 films of the year. For that, we've got number 10, The Blind Side, Ice Age, Dawn of the Dinosaurs, Monsters vs. Aliens, the first Star Trek, J.J. Abrams film, The Hangover. Number 5, this is worldwide gross. This is worldwide gross. This isn't just America. Number 5 for 2009 was Avatar, one of the worst films ever made.
No.
Being beaten out at number 4, The Twilight Saga: New Moon, the Pixar movie Up. Number 2 is a Natasha jam, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. And number 1 is Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, which brought in $400 million, which it's super funny nowadays because everything's like, is it going to hit $1 billion? Did it hit $1 billion? You know, like the new Deadpool Wolverine is like the first R-rated film to make $1 billion. So it's quite quaint to think, you know, in 2009, $400 million. What a small number.
Oh my God. Meager 400 million.
Such a Micah $400 million. But
See what you did there.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. That's about it when it comes to pre-production. Like I did say though, or production and all that bullshit. Like I did say though, this movie was one of the first films, if not the first film, that's ad campaign was the first trailer for it did not show anything really from the film. It was just shots of the crowd reacting to it, which is genius. Like that is what I remember. That is what I remember. That is what I give all the credit to. That is what got butts in seats, you know. But 2009, I don't know what I was doing in 2009. Probably being stupid. I mean, not much changed, but yeah, it was a low era for horror for me. Like that's probably when I started just digging deeper into 80s horror that I missed and 90s horror, because it just stuff that was coming out just wasn't my cup of tea. But all right, you ready to get into spoiler territory and all that jazz?
I think so.
All right,
here we go.
So if this is your first time listening to us, you have picked a very interesting episode to come in on. This is going to be, I'm going to have a lot of fun. But this is a horror film club. What we do is we give out homework at the end of the episode in hopes that you watch it before the next week's episode. So you can just follow along and tell us how we're right, how we're wrong, all that stuff. We have this is a Patreon voted on episode, so every month that happens, you know, you go to our Patreon, like Tasha said, you get to fucking pick, like we usually throw like 5 or 6 movies up and people vote on them, and then whether we like it or not, we gotta watch it. So that's what happened here. But from here on out, it's gonna be spoiler territory. If you don't want the intricate plot of Paranormal Activity ruined for you, Go ahead and skip to the end, find out what we're doing next week. If you don't give a shit, come on, let's fucking set up a camera and see what we can catch when we cover 2009's Paranormal Activity.
If you'd like to be part of our horror film club, make sure to follow us at Instagram, Threads, and Facebook at Pod of the Dead. All of our episodes can be found at podofthedeadorelse.com or wherever you stream music and podcasts. If you have movie recommendations or questions for us, email us at podofthedead666@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. Or else.
With that being said, Natasha, give me that fucking bullshit 10 out of 10.
I was so happy to give you the 1 out of 10 this week.
Yeah.
I figured it would just like speak to your heart.
I saw the first line and I was like, this is going to be good. Because we don't read them before recording, you know? I just I read the first line and I was like, oh, this is my review. Okay. So here's your 10 out of 10. Let's see what you got.
Absolutely terrifying. Possibly the scariest film I have ever seen.
Natasha, lies.
After just witnessing a special showing of the spectacularly terrifying film, I can say without a doubt that I will not be sleeping tonight. What starts out as a somewhat slow-paced film quickly turns into a horrifyingly intense portrayal of a young couple that is to be, quote, visited by something sinister. The tension builds ever so slowly, and the camera rolls on, filming their day and night activities. The tension reaches a point where even the slightest flicker, movement, or shadow makes you want to fly out of your seat. Okay.
No.
The beauty of this film is that nothing is revealed too quickly. The director lets the previous events simmer and settle with the audience before revealing more. Rarely do films leave me so terrified that I am shaking after they have ended. Paranormal Activity is an exception to this. I highly recommend this film to all those who want to be scared out of their wits.
What? Whatever. Like, that's all I gotta like. This is what I'm saying. Like, this is what people find to be absolutely like, oh my god, it was so scary. Like, there was something to be said that like people were leaving like early screenings and stuff. Like the first screening, they were leaving it early, and they thought, oh no, like this is bad. Later to find out that they were just too affected by it. They could not bear to witness what was. I'm just like, are you fucking serious? Nothing fucking happens in this movie. Like, a leg gets pulled and a body gets, well, I think hopefully we watch the same ending, because there are 2 endings to this movie, which I only watched one. I watched the original ending on the Blu-ray. I did not watch the alternate ending, so I'm not sure which the theatrical ending is, because it didn't call it that. So
okay, well, I guess we'll see.
Like, God, but you know, like,
I will say, like, this one is overdoing it. I didn't think it was terrifying, the scariest movie, shaking in my boots, jumping out of my seat. But there are a couple bits that make you kind of go, ooh.
Are there?
For me.
Well, yeah, you're easily susceptible to that. You're a jump scare. You're a jump scare queen and all that stuff. So, yeah, like, I just, even like, anytime something happened, like a shadow on a door or anything, this is what my reaction was. There's a shadow on the door. Like, it literally was just that. It was so, like, I literally was sitting there, and this movie, I shit you not, bored the ever living hell out of me. Like, I felt bad. I actually felt bad.
Oh, wow.
Knowing that we had to do this episode because people like this movie, and I was bored to tears watching it because, like, oh, they pulled her leg. Oh, they're dragging her down the hallway. Oh, they went down.
You were affected by it. I guess that's something.
Not the proper effect.
You felt some kind of way about it. At
least I guess I didn't. I wasn't angry, but goddamn.
All right, Nick. Tell us your true feelings.
Oh, I think I may have wrote this. This is the first few words I feel deep in my heart of hearts. Awful, truly awful. Living proof that a sucker is born every minute. You know why they hype movies like this, or Blair Witch, or Open Water? Because they are so bad that only a lemming who can so easily be led off the cliff could ever be convinced it's brilliant. This movie does have some scary parts, but come on. Would you stay 3 weeks in a house that's so obviously haunted? It's not haunted. That's me saying
Big
that.
Part of it.
It's not haunted. Yet these people did. That and no budget or script or plot make this 86 minute and $4.99 I can never get back. Truly awful. The writer director of this garbage obviously watched The Blair Witch and Open Water about 10 times too many each, because it's the same no budget, small but highly talentless cast, idiotic jerky camera work, so much so all 3 movies could have been created by the same person. And end scene. I agree with a lot of what they said, but they also missed like the only bit of interesting thing from this movie is that Katie is haunted.
Right.
There's something, and it's not haunted. It's not that she's haunted because it's not a ghost. It is a demon. So like that is the only interesting thing in this movie. I was like, oh, that's cool. Oh, the rest of this is fucking water trash, just garbage, just fucking. This is a septic tank of a movie.
Wow. Okay, we get it. Nick loved the movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to hold back. I'm literally trying to hold back. So,
and it's not every time that you watch a movie that I get a text about how you felt about it. And I love that was easily one of the worst horror films I've ever watched.
Yes, that right after it. I didn't know I know that you had seen it prior. But I didn't know if you'd watched it yet for the podcast. And yeah, the movie ended and that's what I sent you. And we tend to not talk about shit prior to recording, but I was like, no, the only reason is because you had put this on our list previously and it just kept getting shifted back and everything, but it got voted on and I was like, okay, here we go. It seems like people like this. And I was just like, people suck. What the fuck? Why? But
and there are like 7 of them or something.
Well, I have heard I have like the first 3 movies on Blu-ray like in a pack, because when you put it on the list and stuff, I went to, there's a somewhat local like media shop that sells like, it's fucking massive, that just sells like a bunch of used video games and DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff, and I go there probably every like 3 months or so, and I just go through and I fill out my collection on stuff that like maybe I haven't watched that I need to, because I can get it for like, I got the 3-pack Blu-ray for like $4. So it's just like, whatever. I don't like, the only time I need something new is if it is legitimately new and I want it. Like when Longlegs came out on Blu-ray, I got it like day 1 because I'd seen it in theaters and I wanted it right now. But yeah, this I bought, and so I'm gonna watch the other 2 because I have heard that the other 2 like flesh out stuff about this and everything. Like they legitimately are a continuation of the script that never was. But
yeah, it's a good way.
I would be interested in seeing that. But like going into this movie, like I said, I tried to keep in mind that this came out in 2009. Because like some of my favorite found footage films came out after that. 2015, you got like Hell House LLC, shit like that. Like those fucking movies just dunk on this all day long, but they're also made for a lot more money and there is a script. That's the thing I keep going back to, is that, okay, there's no script, then this is what we're going to do. And the director sees what Micah is doing as a character and is like, yes, this is, if Micah was played differently or whatever, it could have made this more palatable, but it doesn't take long 15, 20 minutes in this film, I'm like, oh, this is what this guy is going to be the whole fucking time. And it just gets worse and worse. And so like, ain't nobody gonna be fucking with my girlfriend. I was like, are you fucking serious? You're legitimately saying this? And then to like go back and it's like there was no script. I was like, this motherfucker thought that's how people act. I was like, that is the worst. That is the worst. Katie was okay. The psychic, he was all right. He's an actual like paranormal investigator guy, I guess, but
that's cool.
He literally was just brought in to do an exposition dump. Like that was probably the only part of a script that was written, was like, he's going to come in here and tell the audience what the movie's about, and then we're just going to go back to Micah being a fucking wannabe alpha male. Like this motherfucker is like an Elon Musk fucking like devoutee, like 4chan bullshit guy. Like, I'm a day trader and fucking I fucking hated him like so much.
Me too. And I always try to think like that's clearly what they were going for. He was supposed to be an asshole bro. And as much as I hated him, I could still feel that there are people like that out there.
Yeah, but like there's no well, it doesn't work because there's no payoff for it. He's just fucking shitty. Yeah, he dies at the end of the movie, but it's
there's a big payoff. Exactly. He gets what's coming to him because he's pissing off the demon.
Just because he's fucking Katie.
That's true.
It's there's no catharsis to it. It just happens and it's fucking over, and it's just like, okay, like that's what I'm saying is like, if you're going to be an absolute shitty character and stuff like that, there's got to be some sort of catharsis in the film that makes the crowd go like, yeah. But it doesn't do that. It just like, and he gets thrown against the camera, and then she just kind of stands there, and that's it. And I'm just like, okay, at least it's over now. That was the catharsis. And I didn't even get a rolling of credits, because that is one thing that's kind of cool, is there's no opening or exiting credits. It is just like, this is a found footage piece, which I like that.
Me too.
But everything post Disgorge playing on the TV is fucking bonk, man. God damn. And the thing that just blows my fucking mind is that this movie made almost $200 million. Now that must be like because everything else that came out around that time sucked all the dick. Like it had to have been.
But also think about watching this movie with a group of people who are highly susceptible to screaming, like to jump scares.
I don't watch movies with those people. Get your shit together, people. Stop screaming at a movie. It's a movie.
But that's the thing. You're not the type of person that would go see this in theaters. The people
this
that
would
are
be
the
the
type
worst.
of people, it would be just a collective emotional experience, which I personally think would be amazing to watch this in theaters for the first time.
That is my personal hell, is seeing this movie in a crowded theater, because I would be bored and annoyed by everybody just being like, oh my God, there's a shadow on the door. It moved. I'd just be like, can I just go get popcorn for anybody in here that needs it right now? This is one of the few times that DreamWorks wanted to remake this movie with a bigger budget, with better known actors, then release that film and just use this movie as an extra on the DVD. That's the only time I've been like, yeah, you should have probably fucking done that, because this. What? Okay, so
they wanted to use this as like the rough draft and then redo the whole thing.
Yes, this feels like a rough draft. Like,
it's $15 million or $15,000 with unknown actors.
Correct,
but that makes it feel real. Don't think of it as a movie. Think of it as somebody stumbling upon a recording and you watch it. I know,
but the thing is that Micah and Katie's better than Micah, but Micah, you can tell he's acting. That's what I'm saying, is it's so bad. Like, it's not believable and everything, because it's so over the top, so like, this thing's not gonna fuck with my girlfriend. Hold on, let me go get this camera off the tripod. Let me go run through here, and it's so like, it is definitely of its time, but it's still, this is 10 years, say when it was made, 8 years after Blair Witch Project. There were other ones that came out. This movie did all the same bullshit that we have to explain why we've got the camera. We have to do this. We have to do that. There was nothing original to it other than that it was made on a shoestring budget. That's it. The only reason I think that this movie is held in such quote unquote high esteem is because of what it did in the market. Not for what it did on screen or anything. It is purely because of marketing. Like,
yeah,
if it weren't for that honestly, trailer, it would not have been this.
Yeah, and I think the second one is better than the first one. So this isn't even the best out of the ones that I've seen. But the fact that Micah is terrible could also be him playing to the camera as a guy. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
Yeah, he's horrible and he's acting, but he's also like this guy that's like so excited to have a camera that he's doing that for the camera, just like how it's set up and he's playing his guitar, like talking to himself through the camera. Like, there are people, I'm sure, that do that with small egos that want to be like, look at me, I'm on a camera. That's how I kept seeing it with him.
Yeah, I don't care. Realistically, at the end.
So yes, he's not a good.
He's not a good actor. He's not a good character.
Not a good actor.
There's nothing like it. There's not. It pulls me out so bad because, like you were saying, imagine if this was something that you just found, and it's like there's a billion of them that do that are so much more believable. And it's like I said, like if there was a script, I could understand this kind of stuff, but like the director literally was like, this is kind of what I want you to do, blah blah blah, and just this is what you allowed this character to become because that's what Micah thought his character would be like. And it's so fucking annoying. Like, that's the thing. It's like any single time something happens up until basically the fucking end of the movie, he's just like, yeah, let's not fucking call the demonologist. Yeah, let's not do, I didn't buy a Ouija board. Like, all this stuff is so fucking, like, obviously, like, nobody, I'm sorry, to the points where we get with the everything building to the Ouija board, not a single person that actually cared about their significant other would do that. Like, it's all. He
doesn't care about her. Clearly, he's an asshole.
He does care about her. Like, remember, nobody comes into my house and fucks with my girlfriend but me. Like, all that shit.
He cares about his ego and being the savior. He's not in it to make, because she was even like, when he was like, you didn't tell me about all of this stuff when we moved in together. So, like, making it her fault. He just wants an excuse to buy tech and wants an excuse to make stuff happen. He's doing it like to play. He doesn't see it as true because he's like trying to piss off the demon. There's all of those things.
But I can't remember the exact order of operation and stuff. But there was a lot of big stuff that he was even scared about prior to the Ouija board. And now he's like, it's like scared. Oh, I'm going back to being a 12-year-old. And it's just like, no, it doesn't work for me because it goes to the point where it's just like, this is fucking dumb. Like, not dumb in a fun way. This is fucking dumb, boring bullshit that, what the fuck? Like, this is why I'm saying, like, I literally was sitting there head on fist watching it glazed-eyed, just like, how much longer do I have to fucking watch this? Like, this is the first movie, I think, for this podcast that I have watched that I was just like, I'm pretty sure I could shut this off and lie about watching it because I'm pretty sure I know exactly how it's gonna go. Like, that's like, I watched it, you know, I did my fucking 90 minutes of torture, thanks Patreon, but God,
now you know how it feels.
Yeah, no, I'm not mad. Like, I'm not legitimately mad, but like, I'm completely blown away that like people picked this movie over literally anything. Like, that's what kind of that's literally what kind of blows my mind. It's like, this is what? Like, I have a feeling that this got picked because they knew I would hate it. That's what this feels like.
Look at that, making it all about you, Nick.
Always. I have main character energy, okay? Not a good thing. But, so, okay, I already told you what my high point of the film was. Disgorged, yeah! What high points you got?
I didn't care for the powder scene.
I said high points. I said high points.
Sorry, we're not. I was going to do my low points first. I liked... both times I watched it, I think it's really creepy when she gets out of bed and is just standing there over the bed.
Of course you did.
I know. You're the blah,
of course
blah,
you
blah.
did. You liked
and
Smile.
Wait for it. I'm going to double down. And I also liked the attic scene because it's closed frame
that was okay.
in a dark spot. I like those parts where you're just waiting for something to happen. And it was also nice that not every time that you're waiting for something to happen, that something didn't happen. I don't know if I worded that right.
I get what you're saying. It kind of takes you think it's going this way and it goes that way.
Yeah, or it just keeps, nothing happens and then the night's over. Then you're like, tense, and then it's a relief.
Nothing happens.
But then next time you're tense, and then something happens. So you're already like, your threshold is a little bit lower because you're already tense. I think that the movie does that very well.
Do you?
For somebody that likes looking in corners for something to happen.
And that's the thing is I was doing that a lot and like maybe I missed it. But like nothing fucking happened in those things. Like when they're laying in bed, like it's always open to the doorway. Other than like everything that happened was very obvious. Lights clicking on and off, a door moving. There wasn't like that kind of, oh shit. There was none of that. And that's what like I hated was because I kept looking down the hallway and stuff and it just like light on and off. It's like, oh, I would have never fucking missed that. There's nothing to miss because like I think the closest thing to it is the shadow on the door, but that still sticks out, at least to me, like a sore thumb because I was like, oh, there's a shadow on the wall. Like it wasn't like I was waiting for a form to be standing down the hallway, really obscured, or like there's always this teddy bear in like a bedroom, like way off. I was waiting for it to like shift something that was just like, oh shit, none of that. Like it literally was everything that happened was just in your face. You couldn't miss it. So anytime it sat there static, you say that it's building tension. I'm saying it's going to show me its hand because I'm not going to miss it. It's just going to be like, oh, the blanket moved. That's it. It wasn't a door down the hallway opening. That would have been fucking creepy because it's not right in front of your face. That kind of shit would have worked so much better to me. Or they're just knocking. We don't know where the knocking's coming from. It's like, okay, but like that's not, we can just keep doing that. And yeah, there's the one time where it like is kind of banging, but like it's just more of the same.
But it's not because like you hear the keys fall, you hear footsteps a lot of times. That stuff really like feels like needles up my back when I hear those things. Yeah. So like the distant sounds where you go, ooh, what's that? Where'd that come
just
from?
the ice
and you
machine
don't know where
fucking
it came
up.
from.
All of this was just the ice machine, okay?
But that's no different than Sinister, maybe? I don't know. There's another movie that we've watched where like that's kind of the process where they come in and they try to debunk all of the sounds.
Yeah. No, I get
and it's cool when they like take their due diligence and debunk all of the sounds, but then the sounds are still happening. Spooky.
Yeah, I suppose. I am fucking buying it.
It goes back to the Invisible Man quality of it, where like something's here, but we can't figure out where or what or when it will present itself. Granted, The Invisible Man did it a million times better.
Yes.
But it's still those little qualities. I didn't care so much for, the door swinging open and closed, or the sheet like being blown open. Honestly, it wasn't a lot of what you were seeing that did it for me. It was the sounds. Okay. More than anything.
See, like you were saying, like one of the high points was her staring at him and everything.
Yeah.
And I saw that and knew that was going to be something that you would bring up because you like smile. And that's what it reminded me of. I was just like, oh, wouldn't it just be creepy if like someone just stared at you in bed? I was just like, God, I fucking hate this shit. Like,
but it is creepy.
No, it's not.
I think it is because you're waiting. Okay, this is why I think it's creepy.
Okay.
Because when I'm looking at somebody, I'm looking at somebody expecting something to happen. And when nothing happens, I get very uncomfortable with that. It happens in my daily life. I have a friend at work that will just pop her head out of her classroom and like look at me, and I'm expecting her to say something, and then when she doesn't, I go, okay, what are we doing here? Why is this happening? And it like makes me cringe. It's the same thing. Have you never woken up with a child standing over top of you, stone faced?
Yeah, it's different.
I have. It's terrifying.
It's different. It's 100% different.
That's different.
Because that's a lived experience and that's you dealing with it. Watching that happen in a movie is not creepy, especially when it's a character that I want to fucking die. You know, like I'm just like, do it.
I think it might come down to just the second time around isn't nearly as effective.
Well, no. Yeah, obviously.
I'll give you that.
Obviously, it couldn't be because nothing happens in it. Now you know that nothing's going to happen in it. And then you have to sit through an hour and a half of nothing happening, knowing that you're sitting through an hour and a half of nothing happening.
No, I mean the second, because she stands and stares at the bed twice. The first time I think is effective. The second time where she's standing over Micah, not as effective. Yeah. But I think it all comes back to when I watch a movie, regardless of what it is, I really take on that proxy person and I drop into their feelings. I feel what's intended to be felt from the characters. And clearly you watch it more as watching it on a screen.
I very much am watching, like, that's where that's what makes up for debate. That's what makes this podcast good, is that we watch completely different movies. Like literally the screen is on, we're both sitting there together, but like your interpretation of what you're seeing is more a true audience member. Like literally, like you are the person that they want in the theater, and I am not, because I'm the one that's like I'm looking for, you know, oh, that looked cool, or I really like how they wrote this character, or ooh, the Dutch angle here was neat and I like that. Like I look at okay, you watch movies and stuff as a form of entertainment, where I watch movies and stuff as a form of going to like a museum and like looking at art. Like I'm not trying to say like I'm an art critic or anything like that, but I'm really bad about that with anything that I ingest that could be considered artful. I go, how did they do that? I'm really impressed that they did this, and I'm impressed about this. That's how most of the films that I really like tend to be. You know, that's why I like stuff from the 80s a lot, is because there is so much like fly by the seat of their pants and shit like that. You know, like they had to fucking figure out how to, you know, make a fucking chest cavity open up and eat somebody's arms. Like nobody fucking does that. So like when I'm watching something like this, right? Granted, yes, independent film, but like what they did with their budget was move a door and stare at someone while they're asleep. Like it's. Don't spit out your coffee.
Oh, I about ruined my computer.
But that's that shit just doesn't do it for me. Like this probably was like, again, I'm going to compare this to Smile in the sense of like, yeah, this is probably scary to high school kids. that think, being stared at's creepy. And like, I understand how you're talking about like having like social anxiety kind of stuff and feeling like cornered if someone just looks at you. Like, I get that kind of stuff, but like that doesn't translate to me as creepy when it's literally just that's the whole thing. And like, you don't even see him get killed until you see his body get thrown at the camera, which I believe was Steven Spielberg said, like, hey, maybe change it like this or something. I believe that's what it was, because he's the one that suggested that they change the ending and everything. But even then, I think what would have been better is when he hits the camera breaks and you don't see her fucking crawl up to the camera. Like, it's so fucking
I agree.
bad.
That part's dumb.
Every single time they could have done something, they fucking shit the bed. Like, every single time. And it just, I can't. So thank you, Patreon, for this Christmas gift. I love it. Thanks. I hate it.
I mean, at least it was quick.
Yeah, I am going to say the high points of this movie, other than, disgorged at the beginning. I like the idea of the burnt photo, and that was cool. Like, I like that idea of like it is a thing haunting her or whatever. I think that's kind of neat. Trying to really think hard, because nothing that I like about it is about the characters. Because I thought the powder thing was like on the nose. It didn't do anything for me. The door shit. He's just trying to get in her pants the entire time. Keys fall on a floor. Like, I literally go back to I'm not a fan of Family Guy per se, but I remember watching it a bit, like when it first came out and stuff. And there's a scene in it where Stewie and Brian are at the theaters. I think Brian's blind or something for it, or something, whatever it is. But they're explaining to the person they're sitting with who is blind. They're watching the Blair Witch Project, and it just nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. The movie's over. Everyone looks pissed. Like, that's how I felt watching this. Just like it ended, and I was like, hey, it's that Family Guy sketch, like, scene or whatever. And I was just like, yeah, because at least, there is creep, like super creep to the Blair Witch Project. Is it the best movie ever or anything like that? No, but like, I think it did it way better. Yes, it was made for more, but like not much more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really trying to think. Like, yeah, the burnt photo was a surprise. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. That was about it. Like, that would be the second peak of the film. Yeah. They did do the whole thing where, between 2 and 3:30 is when shit happened, which is like dead time. It's when all the demonic activity occurs. That's when, demons and spirits are supposed to be more active. So what I did find interesting about researching this, though, about that time specifically, is that some of the more significant disturbances in this movie happen exactly at 3:15 a.m. This is the same time when George Lutz claimed he would wake every night in the infamous house at Amityville. So like, because that's based, the Amityville horror is based on quote unquote true events. They, whatever. But for example, the horrific scream and loud bang occur as the clock on the camera reaches 3:15. Likewise, Micah's death appears to be timed at that very same second. The hour between 3 and 4 a.m. is often referred to as the witching hour or the devil hour, as it's an inversion of the time in which Christ supposedly died. So I thought that I did not know that that's the whole point of like the witching hour is like the inverse kind of thing. And I was like, that's cool. If you believe that kind of stuff or whatever, I think that's a neat little twist on it, because everything evil's just the inverse of the good, whatever. But Yeah, so I'll give it that. Like, and these are other. So when Micah's walking around doing the microphone test, doing the EVP, like everything, and he's like, and he asks, "What is your quest? What is your favorite color?" This is a quote from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and it's taken from the Bridge of Death scene. When the bridge keeper asks Lancelot, "What is your name? What is your quest? What is your favorite color?" And the color is because he has to answer 3 questions to pass it.
Yeah.
He says his name, tells him the quest, but he can't remember. He says his wrong favorite color and gets blown off the bridge.
His wrong favorite.
Yeah, he's like,
color.
green. Wait, no, red. Ah! So I saw that and I was like, oh, that's fun. It didn't translate in the movie, but that's fun.
No.
So yeah. All right. Thanks, Patreon. You have killed this podcast. This is it. I can't do this anymore if this is what you're gonna do to me.
Dude.
I'm supposed to do this to Natasha. You're not supposed to do it to me. I'm your sweet boy. I'm your good time gal.
Wasn't gloopy at all. There was no excessive blood. It was glorious.
I hate this.
Guys.
I hate this. You want to go into our review, like our scores and shit?
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna start with you.
Okay.
I think you're gonna give this a 5.75.
So close. I'm giving it a 5.5.
Oh, okay. All right. I was torn. It was either 5.5 or a 6. So, all right, 5.5. Why?
For all the reasons we talked about. It's still even the second time around, so it does have some rewatchability. I didn't get spooked like super jump. I wasn't like grabbing onto Drew like I did the first time and like exclaiming like, ah!
The first time you watched this, you jumped into Drew's arms.
I didn't jump into his arms per se. Oh my God. I can't remember when the big, like when the loud sound hits, that part, I remember like holding on to him, like being nervous and then just like tightening up. Like
oh
that.
my God.
Yeah. and dude, that's purely not because it's quote unquote scary per se in that moment, but I jump at loud sounds. I jump when I run into somebody in the hallway. I'm an extremely expressive or reactive person when it comes to sounds.
I know.
So a door slamming will get me. Somebody, like I said, peeking around a door and going, ah! I'm on the floor.
See, I just like the idea that you're jumping into his arms like Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Like, ah!
Just feet off the ground into him. Yeah. If only. So the second time around, it still had like the tense quality to it, but it like all the jump scares were kind of gone, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and see, not to say your opinion's wrong. That's not what I'm trying to do right now. But like that's why I don't really care for jump scares. Is because they're kind of one and done. If they're effective, it did it, and then it's never going to do it again. So that's why I'm not a big fan of them. Which
is fair. I enjoy it, and I will always.
You like jump scares like people like roller coasters.
Yep.
Except the roller coaster can still affect you.
I like some of those too. Just not for the same reason.
I pay a lot of money to not have panic attacks. I'm not gonna fucking pay money to have one. So
yeah. I think you are giving this movie a 1.5.
Okay, you gotta give me some credit. I'm giving it more than a 1.5. I'm giving it.
Gave me nothing to go off of.
I know. I'm giving it a 2.5.
Oh, okay.
Reason being, it gets a point for being a movie, right? It gets 1 point.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, it gets a point for being a movie. It gets a point for having disgorge in it, and a 0.5 point for the burnt photo. That's it. There you go. There's your 2.5. Okay. All right. So we got a 2.5. We got a 5.5. IMDb gives us a 6.3. That's absurd. This has a higher IMDb rating than The Void. So, like, and the Void's been seen by less people, This has been seen by more people. More people have seen this movie and still liked it enough to get it to that point. I just don't get it.
This movie is more watchable.
Is it?
I think than The Void. Yeah.
What?
In the general public, yes.
No. Fuck.
Because it has jump scares.
This is why the world is the way it is. Because people like Paranormal Activity. That's why we're in the boat we're in this big flaming pile of shit.
You'll be happy to know that this does not make the cut. It's under a 50% at 48%.
It should be fucking lower. It should be the lowest scored movie in the history of ever. It's not fair that I had to watch it. It's not okay. This is my birthday month. Why would you do this to me?
If we take out the IMDb one, that gives it a 40.
Yeah, that sounds about
There's
right.
that too.
That sounds about right. It should be below 25, to be completely honest. This should not be like, this movie is hot garbage. But that's why we've got you on the podcast, I suppose. Yeah. So, what'd you say that gives it? 50 some bullshit?
48.
48, yeah. You're more than likely not going to like this in 2024. I think that is the thing to kind of take away from it. I can see, post lobotomy liking this or something, just being being just a real dumb bitch. I could probably like it.
Whoa. That's right. You hack up that lung over there. You deserve it.
Yeah, you drink from your panda glass. So
Gonna.
All right, I'm gonna. And then when I see you at Christmas, I'm gonna hit you in the face with it. I was telling Steph that I was just gonna wrap my Blu-ray copy of this movie and just give it to you for Christmas. Here, you fucking have it. Yeah, so that's thanks guys. Thanks to Patreon for giving us this movie. I hope I did not offend you, and if I did, I don't care. Because I'm offended that I had to watch it.
Dude, how many movies have I had to sit through and pay for and watch that were just absolute garbage on my end?
Not enough.
A lot. So you are due. You're due for one.
Nah, I get it. They can't all be bangers. They can't all be bangers. But I can at least mark it off my list, So we're gonna give out our homework.
Better for it.
I'm not. I am not better for it. I feel horrible. I watched this movie and woke up with a hangover. I think it gave me herpes. So
Jesus, what's our homework?
Okay, so our homework, which will be our first episode for 2025, if we make it. Hopefully we don't. Hopefully, the world just explodes on New Year's. Then that's that. But
the ultimate New Year's experience.
Yeah, going out with a bang. Our first one for the new year is going to be Jordan Peele's Us. So we will be watching that. This is a Natasha pick. So, God damn it. I swear to God, if I have to watch another Paranormal Activity style movie, I know it's not, but God damn it. Fuck, shit, all the other expletives. It better be good.
Just think about it. I've given you Infinity Pool and Paranormal Activity. There's a whole range, man.
Okay, so if those are your two movies, I know that you've given more to the podcast than those two movies. But if you say that that's the two movies that you've given me over the year, no, I don't care if the next movie is a 10 out of 10. If it means that I'm going to have to watch another Paranormal Activity, I would rather never watch the 10.
Oh man.
So, yeah, we'll be watching
yes,
us.
This is a pick for me. It's on Google Play, Amazon Prime, Apple TV.
Okay. So it should be
All of
streamable.
those.
So this is usually where we would do our send-off, but this is going to be a little throwback to what we used to do a little bit. We're going to kind of give you some things at the end of the year. You gave us a Christmas gift that is Paranormal Activity. Thanks. And in return, we're going to give you guys like the 3 things that we'd like to shout out, or, you know, whatever, to the listeners that maybe, you know, they'd be like, oh shit, I'll check that out. Whether it's a movies, books, albums, whatever. So, Natasha, would you like to start your 3 list with something for the listeners for the holiday season?
Yeah. If you're a book reader and you like twisty-turny thrillers, Frida McFadden has one called Never Lie. And it surrounds a couple in a house that they're snowed in at. And there are so many turns that the best part about this book is you think it's going to go in one direction, knowing that there are turns, and then it goes a completely different direction. It's incredibly written and it's very fast paced. So it's a very quick read. It's one of my favorites by her. So that's my first. Are we going all 3 or just one?
We'll go back and forth.
Okay. Yeah. So Frida McFadden's Never Lie. If you haven't read anything by her, I suggest starting with that one.
Okay. I'll take from your book suggestion, and I will give my book suggestion, which I suggested to you earlier this year. I've not heard if you've read much of it or finished it or anything, but The Troop by Nick Cutter. I found this book from like TikTok and shit, like Book Talk, right? This book is for people that like gloopy, crazy, like fucking outbreaky kind of stuff. So without giving anything away, it's about a Boy Scout troop that goes out to an island out, I think it's in Washington state. And while they're out there, there is some sort of outbreak, whether it's viral or, you know, fungal, whatever, you know, something. I don't want to give anything away, but shit starts going sideways. So what I would say is, like, this is for people that like stuff like The Thing, and it's got a touch of like Lord of the Flies to it. And I was really captivated by it, like all the way through. I did it audiobook because I don't have the attention span to read books that are non-fiction, or that are fiction. I'm sorry, that are fiction. I can sit and read autobiographies for some weird reason, but if it's a fiction, I have to go audio on it for some reason. But if you do the audio, it's fucking top tier as well, like super good. But yeah, Nick Cutter's The Troop. If you're looking for some gloopy book, but it's also really well written and really well paced. Like the way that it's broken up and stuff is awesome. I really like that. So yeah, check that out.
That's interesting, because if you like the book that I suggested, there's a pretty good chance you won't like the book Nick suggested, and probably vice versa. At least for me, I tried The Troop. It's very gloopy right at the very beginning. So
yeah, good stuff.
Pacing's good though. Yeah. Number 2. I'm going to recommend a doc. This one is
Dr. Feinstein. That's the doctor that I'm suggesting. He's a great podiatrist.
Oh, cool. Or a documentary called Bad Faith. It came out this year, I believe. And it talks about the rise and the backstory of Christian nationalists and how deep it's gone, how much it's infiltrated kind of all of American society. Mm-hmm. I got into this obviously around the election season, but it was extremely eye-opening to just a lot of different, like, I don't want to say factions, but a lot of different groups of people that I didn't necessarily see tying into white nationalist or that had come from it. So it's a good watch. I think it's worth watching and then doing more research, because this is extremely biased on one end, but it's not to say that it's not all true. Whenever I watch a doc that is very heavy-handed on one end, I like to kind of look through other avenues just to kind of compare. But it's Bad Faith. Came out this year. If you're into social commentary on groups or cult-like docs, this one's definitely one to check out.
Cool. So
I think this was one that I told you, Nick, about after I watched it. And a lot of the stuff that was in there, you were like, oh yeah, I already knew this. But it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, not to be like, yeah, I already knew that. But I'm just like, it's cool that you saw a documentary that opened up your eyes to shit that people say out loud, but then like a lot of media outlets and stuff. And this isn't me like fake news or anything like that. But like, they don't like to fucking put this shit like out there. No, like, yeah, some of your politicians are legitimately backed by fucking the KKK and shit like that. And you think of the KKK as being something in antiquity. I'm here to tell you it's not. It's literally next door. It's just that they don't walk around in hoods and stuff as often. They still do, and that's something to be said, is if you have to go marching and everything and hide your identity, there's a reason you're hiding it, because you know that there's going to be backlash. So I'm here to say, punch your local Nazi. That's good. So, all right. My second thing to offer this year is the band Frail Body put out their newest album called Artificial Bouquet. This is a very interesting album in the sense of it's very abrasive. If you know my musical tastes and stuff like that, it's a lot of like really chaotic hardcore, black metal, death metal, stuff like that, right? The thing about Frail Body is lyrically, this is an emo band. Sonically, this band is a hardcore / black metal band. They have some of the most heart-wrenching lyrics about loss that I've ever read, and the vocalist's approach is very sincere in his delivery. By that, you may think like, oh, it's sincere, like it's just screaming. Like, okay, like just gonna leave that out there. But his screams and stuff like that feel very real. Like it sometimes it does not come across musically as much as it does like having an emotional breakdown. So Artificial Bouquet, and I'm just going to kind of give you a little bit. Artificial Bouquet, awesome album. The album before it, A Brief Memoriam that they put out, is so goddamn hard-hitting and affecting. There is a song on that album. I'm really bad at remembering song titles. I believe the song is called Your Death Makes Me Wish I Believed in Heaven. Something to that. Oh. And it's just so like, that's kind of it. Like that, if you're like into heavy music, but you're also wanting something with like real emotion. And when I'm saying like the lyrics are like emo, I'm not saying that they're emo like fucking My Chemical Romance and stuff like that. I'm talking about like real emotional lyrics, something maybe Bright Eyes or something where it's just like really fucking heavy lyrically. So Frail Body, their album Artificial Bouquet, super fucking good. It's not for everybody, like obviously, but god damn, if you're looking for something a little bit outside your wheelhouse, definitely check it out.
What were they called again?
Frail Body. You gonna go check them out? and it's definitely one of those things, like, obviously, like, I've listened to a lot of metal and stuff like that. Their vocals are still hard to parse the lyrics, but like, this is a band that, like, you sit there, you lay down, you like read the lyrics while you're listening to the band, and it just makes it a lot more poignant and a lot more effective.
The last one I have is a recent movie called Woman of the Hour. It's on Netflix. It's Anna Kendrick's directorial debut. My number 3 is Anna Kendrick's directorial debut on Netflix called Woman of the Hour. This one's pretty popular, so it might not be a huge shock that this is a recommendation of mine. It covers a story that happened in the 70s of a serial killer who was on the dating game. While it doesn't necessarily follow him, it follows Anna Kendrick and the women who he assaulted and then murdered, which I think is a really, really well done version of a docudrama, essentially, where it's not taking the killer's perspective or like highlighting the killer. I've also done quite a bit of research on this movie before I watched it, because I love Anna Kendrick. I think she's an amazing actress, singer. She does interviews very well. So there's a lot in this movie that she took from her personal life to impart into her character Cheryl, which I think is really cool. Just as she's an actress going through like the casting phase and stuff like that, things that she's been a part of, or not feeling like a woman, feeling more like a thing, is really embedded into this movie. There are scenes in it that might hit differently for men versus women that men might not like notice. There's scenes in there where like, which I think is really cool, of like a man just moving her hair out of the way, and she took that as a sign of like disrespect and a sign of like, you know, you're doing this without my, you know, my okay. What makes you think that you can do that? Those types of subtle details I think are done beautifully in this. So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend. This is one of the best docudramas based on a true crime story that I've watched in a very long time.
I've heard about this, like, and you're not saying anything that I haven't heard people say. Like, that's not me like discrediting your opinion. Like, I have heard a lot of people like, this is fucking great. Like, this is super good. And like Anna Kendrick like knocks it out of the fucking park, because she directs it and stars in it, right? And this is her first time direct. Like, that's crazy. So I have always liked her in the movies that I have seen her in. So, okay. My last thing for you for Christmas is, if you don't like your stuff emotional and you want your shit more terrifying, boy, do I have you covered. So my number one. Okay. So sidebar. Besides horror films, I'm also an avid metalhead. And I have listened to probably 300 different new releases this year from metal bands. And then I have to go through all of that for no reason other than my own and for historical posterity of going back through the years and seeing what I really liked. It's my own little life journey or whatever. But I always come up with like my top 25 metal albums of the year, right? And Frail Body was on there, I believe. Let me see here. That was my number 8 for the year. I'm giving you my number 1 for the last thing, which is the band Knoll, Knoll, their album As Spoken. This, if Frail Body is not for everybody, this is not for everybody. This is a exercise in sonic horror is the best way I can describe it. This is like grindcore mixed with black metal, mixed with dissonant death metal. The screams that their vocalist is able to produce is only comparable to what you would think someone being submerged in bubbling tar. It is so shrill and dark and horrifying in all the best ways, my opinion. I've seen this band live and on their last album, and they encapsulate it live so well. And with this one, they took on an aesthetic change. So prior to this album, they were just like some kids from, I believe they're from Tennessee, that were fucking just doing some hellacious grind, like crazy fucking grindcore. If you don't know what grindcore is, it's like it's not about musicality, it's about intensity, it's speed, it's just fucking like aggression, right? So they took that and then they decided, we're going to do that, but we're going to try and be like, I think they refer to it as funeral grind. And by that, everything is just stark blacks. All of the album stuff just has like this old picture quality, like the silver tone, like old, like kind of pictures. The album cover is just this old mirror, and it feels like it. It's so cavernous. It feels like hell. Best way to describe it. Okay, so it is just an assault on all fronts, but it's amazing. So for anybody that is familiar with like grindcore and death metal and atmospheric music and stuff like that, if you're familiar with the band Full of Hell, which is a very popular band in proper circles, so you take Full of Hell, and then you take the band Portal, which is from I believe they're from Australia or New Zealand. I know we have people from Australia and New Zealand that listen to this podcast. I am sorry. I know you're not the same people. I just remember that they're from that area. I think they're from Australia, and I think also it's from New Zealand. I think that's how I remember it. Anyway, you take Portal, which is just this like cavernous void, like very Lovecraftian feel, right? You take that, but then you take the energy and fucking chaos and shrill, harsh noise that Full of Hell does, and you smash it together, and what you get is Null, and it's amazing. Again, listener beware. But if you're looking for something that's like, man, I want something that is scary, this is legit scary. Like, it's great.
Oh, that's cool.
So the album is As Spoken by Null. That is my Christmas gift to you all. Those are my three. The Troop by Nick Cutter, Artificial Bouquet by Frail Body, and As Spoken by Null. So,
say mine again?
Well, obviously, yeah.
And for you listeners, I have Never Lie by Frida McFadden, Bad Faith documentary, and Woman of the Hour, Anna Kendrick's directorial debut. Yeah. So over the new year and stuff, maybe you bust some of that shit out. Maybe you got a gift card lying around that you need to spend or some shit. Maybe you really want to piss off grandma on New Year's Day. You just throw Null on for a little bit, So check out your local library. I was able to get the Troop at my local library, which I thought was really cool. Yeah.
Check out your local dive bar. See who's fucking playing in your area. Cause like, that's how I saw Null. I saw Null at a fucking hole in the wall place, like in Toledo. I'm not gonna, well, I guess I could name drop it, but it's what's the fucking place called? Your friend works there. The Ottawa Tavern.
Ottawa Tavern.
Yeah, the Ottawa Tavern. And I saw them with Backslider, our friend Logan that we grew up with, his band and everything is fucking great. I've seen a lot of fucking cool bands there. So if you're in the Toledo area, Toledo, Ohio area, and you want some fucking rad shows, check out the Ottawa Tavern. But yeah, check out your local fucking establishments for, not everything needs to be the Live Nation shows. Look at those like smaller places, because those are the people that need your patronage, and those are the people that are going to actually get your like more like cutting edge bands that are trying to do some fucking cool stuff. But yeah, check out those things, but for the end of the year, this is it, guys. Game over, man. Game over, man. Game over.
No, thanks for sticking with us. We have so much more to bring you.
Yeah, there you go. Tasha's coming into 2025 with positivity, and I am your...
Somebody's got to do it.
Yep, I'm your perpetual nihilist, Nicholas. For Pod of the Dead, I am Nicholas.
I am Natasha.
Come back and listen to us, or else.